Hey everybody, how you doing? This is a later start than I intended, but yeah, you know, I hope I'm able to entertain you in the shorter moment of time I'm going to take than the 1 hour and 49 minutes I did last night, and then I'm working on a whole new format that I'll launch. But hey, look, um, for those of you who are like the rest of the United States, if not the rest of the world, shut in, weird time, isn't it? Um, I designed this title specifically for you to chew on, consider, engage with, and enjoy. Um, it has been, and first of all, I hope everyone in your family and your friendship space is well. I hope you are able to weather the storm, and I hope that we are all able to realize a time when we can turn around and look at all this and say, hey, you know what? Um, we've got um, we've got a better life, and we weathered the storm. I certainly hope we can all say that. Um, it would be nice to be able to say that at some point and get through this. But this is unusual, and there are people predicting that it's going to get worse and worse. And it's like, oh man, does it have to? The one thing that I know is that we are all here together, and if we take the right precautions, we can really, really get through this. Okay. But now I've said that, um, let me go right into what I really want to talk about. uh, and uh, and uh, and what I want to talk about first of all is the Las Vegas Stadium update. For those of you who don't know, Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak issued what now on Twitter is called the Nevada shutdown, or the Vegas shutdown, or the Las Vegas shutdown. No matter how you look at it, casinos have closed. Many will not be open until sometime after April. The order is for all non-essential businesses to shut down. Now the question is, hey Donis, how you doing? The question is, does that involve Las Vegas Stadium? And the big answer is, you know what? Uh, I don't know. Because the governor gave one of those answers that appears to put you in two directions at once. It's like this way or that way. And okay, first he says that concert halls, stadiums, he mentioned stadiums. T-Mobile Arena is a stadium, okay? But on the other hand, he does not specifically say public infrastructure projects are exempt. Why do I mention it that way? Because in the state of California, California Governor Gavin Newsom has specifically stated that public infrastructure projects under construction are exempt from shutdown. So, if the Raiders Stadium were in California and were considered a project owned by the state of California, the county of Alameda, the county could make a case that it is, hey, a public infrastructure project and therefore should be exempt. The big question, even beyond that, is what kind of political look is that? And as much as he has really tough talked, is Governor Sisolak willing to pull that trigger? He's went so far as to indicate he may be, but given the fact that public infrastructure projects are exempt in California, I don't know about other states. Would he do it? Could he politically expediently do it? And let's talk about that. I mean, I personally think that it's a good idea for the governor to have something going. I'm just going to say this straight out, that gives a signal toward a hopeful future. If he shuts down that project, it will signal a death knell that will be echoed worldwide, as opposed to, well, you know, hey, here comes this Garth Brooks project is coming up, concert's coming up on the 22nd, and oh my God, there's a chance that we'll do this after all. Because I'm telling you, if Sisolak absolutely unequivocally says you gotta shut down, that puts everything back a month. I mean, already the situation is where you have the stadium that was originally supposed to be substantially completed by the 31st, all right, on its way to hosting its first event on August 16th, altered, whereby the August 16th date was replaced with nomenclature that reads date uncertain. And so here comes the shutdown order. Now, here's the other part of this. If Governor Sisolak does not shut it down, it could send an even larger signal to those who have issues with the expenditure of public money on sports to begin with. And here we are in this situation, okay? And I'm deliberately bringing up both sides because this is not something that should be done in a manner that's ill-considered, all right? Because, look, you've got people out there suffering. You have a number of layoffs and furloughs at casinos. And how are you going to tell them that they're not essential, and then yet you have construction workers building a structure that is sponsored by their employers who are also money strapped, right? That's a really, really, really hard, very hard, very hard explanation to make. And so it's for that reason that I would say, while I personally believe the project should go forward, I think politically it should be stopped for 30 days. And that's a sad message to deliver, but it unfortunately dramatically, super dramatically presents where we're at. It's very scary to look at a chart, okay? And I'm not saying this for any reason like, oh, this is my urban planning hat on. All right, this is another me, okay? Because we're in a very serious situation. This is the me that would operate this thinking if I were in charge, okay? Because you have a map, and it goes like this. It's got 0, and then just the last few days alone, it inches up like this, and it portends an exponential increased number of people who have the coronavirus, excuse me, and the number of people who may die and are dying, excuse me, because of it. And yet we have people who are in spring break, nothing's happening, they think they're okay, they're in the water, they're basically living life as if they are super people and nothing will happen to them. But if they get sick, already, if we call in Fayette County, the local Kaiser office is closed because of a nurses shortage. So you have to go to Southland Hospital to get your medication. We have to do that tomorrow. That's wild. The normal patterns of life that you and I are used to have been obliterated. And the sad fact of this is they will continue to be obliterated until, first of all, we find a cure for this doggone thing. And that should be like priority number one. Second, when we have enough money in our pockets, I don't think $1,000 is enough per person. 2,000, I think, is better. Why? Because you have people on either coast. The standards of living are much higher. The cost of living is much higher. $1,000 for them will go like that unless you tell the people that they pay their mortgages to, the people they pay their rents to, hey, you know what? Don't charge them. We'll pay the difference. And if you send that message, there's hope. That is an expensive nut to deal with for the government. You're talking about $1 trillion stimulus. You know what? I think $2 trillion, sure, definitely. And I'm sorry to start with this, somber note, but the matter of whether or not the project should be shut down in this way is not something, I said before, and I'll say it again, to be taken lightly. It has to be taken extremely seriously. Okay? So, with that, where is the stadium at right now? The M that I pointed to and a person on Twitter pointed to is now where it should be. They still have, they're putting in the seats, but there's still a long way to go with the seats, with the roof. Okay. They've got a lot of little projects that are going to take them out the next 5 months if they're able to work on it in a consistent basis. And here's the other problem. Okay. The moment one worker, just one, and I mean just one worker, is found to have COVID-19, then you know what's going to happen. Okay. You and I both know what's going to happen. So the question is, do you just let them work and work and work and take that risk? Or do you send them home? If you let them work and work and work, and that happens, the political damage from that will be greater than if you shut it down for 30 days. And then it made sure everybody was examined and treated. Okay. So even though this may not happen, for me, I think Governor Sisolak sends a clear message if he does not allow an exemption. If he says, okay, it's everything, and I mean non-essential, including this. All right? Because it's sports. It's not a bridge project. We talk about public infrastructure. It's not a bridge project. It's not something that the state of Las Vegas needs to have right now, because if it were economically, they would have found a way to allow the casinos to continue to operate. You see what I'm getting at? They would have found a way to continue to let the events at T-Mobile operate. Because you see what I'm getting at? But they haven't done that. All right? So you can't come up to a point and say, okay, well, this is my project, and, well, go, right? You can't do that. And so as much as it pains me to say what I just said, and it does pain me to say that, being honest, that's what he would have to do. Now, that does not mean Sisolak will do that. And if he doesn't do it, get your popcorn ready. That's all I have to say. And I don't mean in terms of a lawsuit or anything like that, which could happen, but I mean just in terms of people saying, well, the the governor has his pet project, so I'm not going to take him seriously, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to violate curfew, and I'm going to go out and have fun and everything else because, hey, look, I got my pet project too. I got my money to make, right? He would send that message if he did that, because it's a sports project, because it's recreation. Okay. The better way to do it, make sure that, and then work out a deal, make sure the contractors are paid whole for that time off. As long as you can take care of the workers, then it should not be a problem. But if you're just doing it to be on time and all that for some obligations out there when you don't know what's going to happen to the NFL in the future, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. Okay. So I'll now take your comments. Donis, how you doing? Willie Wayne says, buckle down, folks. Edward Reed says, Zen, keep doing what you are doing with a possible shutdown. Do you think the Raiders are meeting with Oakland for 2020? I don't want to say no. I will say this. I think that depends on what the governor does. If the governor shuts this project down and pushes everything back, the Raiders, given the fact that they're already in Alameda, would have to basically, once again, go back and say, hey, you know what? We need your help. I think that's something the Raiders should do. Not even consider doing, the Raiders should do. And this is a different time. Everybody has to behave differently. You cannot go on with business as usual. It can't be Republican versus Democrat, left versus right, all that stuff. Coal ban, forget all that stuff, because you know what happens if you cut off the coal supply? You know what you cut off? This is what you cut off. Watch this. If you cut off the coal supply, this is what you cut off. You get the picture? We're in trouble, folks. All right? We're in trouble. So we have to do things. Now, having said all that, about that, let me say this about Tom Brady and the Bucs. The Buccaneers are going to pay Tom Brady $30 million to butt fumble. If they do that for 2 years, they're paying him $60 million to butt fumble. All right? Tom Brady needs to retire. Tom Brady is, look, I have nothing personally against Tom Brady. My mom says, why do you hate Tom Brady? I do not hate Tom Brady. Quite the contrary. I quite admire the man and what he's done. Haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet, but I'm being honest. Bill Walsh set the tone for how sports organizations in the NFL, in particular, since he was the coach of the Niners, should run themselves. And that's, look, and it's this: know when to get out. When Joe Montana went from the 49ers to the Kansas City Chiefs, how old was, Joe Montana, when he went to he wasn't anywhere near 42 years old. I think he was something like, 33? Steve Young replaced him. And then Walsh stepped down in 88, so 89, and helped the 49ers, stayed on with the 49ers as a consultant and helped engineer that transition. And the 49ers got their 5th world championship with Steve Young. Joe Montana's heir apparent. And the Patriots did themselves a disfavor by not engineering that kind of transition. The Patriots found themselves in a position where you had a guy who, let's face it, is used to the adulation, used to the spotlight, used to that warm blanket of comfort that was the Patriots offense, in that bigger warm blanket of comfort that was Foxborough Stadium, in that bigger warm blanket of comfort that were Patriots fans, in that bigger warm blanket of comfort that was the New England region, and in the nice warm blanket of comfort that was his Brookline, Massachusetts mansion, right? And he wants to uproot his kids. His wife's got a ton of money, and go and do it in Tampa Bay, where it's warm, where there's no taxes. I guess he got tired of paying taxes in Massachusetts. All this is puzzling to me. Why not just retire, run for office, get involved in politics as you said you were going to do, and really help improve the world at a time when it really, really needs it, instead of hearing about some athlete that hasn't gotten the call that his time is done and is looking to get that big paycheck. I hear the roar of a crowd just one more time as Nico says Brady still has one more year left in the tank. So just because you have a thing doesn't necessarily mean you need to do a thing. And when you say to me he has one more year left in the tank, personally, that scares me, because it means that I'm getting a person who is, by your own statement, at the end of his career. It's not like he's got one more year in the tank and then, that one more year he's going to produce like Kobe did. He scored 60 going out, okay? That's not what Tom Brady is going to do. And it's not that Tom Brady isn't capable of doing that. He may very well be. But in the Buccaneers offense under Bruce Arians, no. Which is why I assert he will get paid to butt fumble. Now, before I continue, let me get your rest of your comments. In Roland Dubs, haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Good evening. Ryan Abbott says Mariota, I don't know what that means. But he says Mariota to Oakland, Philip Colts, Bridgewater to Panthers, Brady to Bucks. Right. I'll talk about all that. Antron Bailey, couldn't fit all that in. He says, Antron Bailey says Winston to the Pats. Is that definite yet? Willie Wayne says we have to be careful about our rights. Jin QB says, where do the A's stand with their new stadium endeavors? I'll get to that in a second, because actually a lawsuit that's just been activated regarding the EIR. Nico Bellick says the A's are moving the Hayward. That's not moving the Hayward. They're not moving anywhere. Ryan Abbott says Case Keesum, Teddy Kassem. Ryan, I don't know what you're trying to say. Corvette, how you doing? Corvette writes, you never know with this virus, there might not be an NFL season. He is absolutely right. Willie Wayne says, butt fumble. Yeah, 2 T's. Nico Bellick says Brady still has one more year left in the tank. I referenced that. Ryan Abbott says Case Keenum, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater. Ryan Abbott says less taxes in Florida. How about 0? Adrian Bailey says Winston would be perfect fit with Chargers or Pats. I think it would be great fits with the Bears. Here's why I say the Chicago Bears. Jameis Winston's agent is Joel Siegel. Joel is one of the top, most powerful agents in the NFL from the measure of the number of players he controls that play in the league. Right now, he has what is said to be, last time I checked, 62 players under contract. So he's in the top 6. And so I think he's in the top 6. Okay. So here's the thing. I think he's in the top 6. Joel is. Khalil Mack is Joel's other client. All right. Vernon Hargreaves is his other client. So he has enough top client relationships around the NFL, 62, to be able to get Jameis Winston a good engagement. Plus, let's not forget, Jameis Winston is only 26 years old. 26, okay? 26. He's done a lot since the 2015 season he's come in here. 26 years old. And so it's not where he can't play someplace else at a start at a high level. Steve Smith made a comment that really bothered me about how, his 30 interceptions last year. Look, what about Carson Palmer's 22 interceptions his first year with Bruce Arians? And I'm sorry, I have to just call this straight out for what it is. it's racist. You got a guy that they have not really developed an offense around that is properly suited to his capabilities. You have an organization in Tampa Bay that wants to throw deep. My question is that now that Brady is coming in, are you going to junk that? The whole risk it, no biscuit thing? And then let's not forget that prior to Bruce Arians coming in, Dirk Cutter had the same philosophy, throw deep. Okay? There was very little difference between the two. Arians used 5 wides more often, okay, and use as I should say patterns that have option routes. Okay, frankly speaking, everybody has a set of plays or several plays that have option routes today. It's not unusual. But Bruce Arians' offense has a key logic problem, extreme logic problem. And it was prevalent during preseason when they're trying to fix the problem, and they never really fixed it through the season. What is that problem? It's this. There is poor sync between pattern length and design, quarterback drop, and offensive line blocking style. In Arians' offense, the offensive line drops back deeper than in the Patriots' offense. The Pats' offense, if you look up, and I'm not going to show a video because I don't want to get these copyright claims and all that jazz. I'm just going to tell you, okay? The Pats' offense is such that, particularly on Tom Brady's patented play actions, the play action fakes that Brady executes, when he comes out of them, the offensive line still hasn't even engaged the defense. They're just about to engage them. That's how fast Brady does it. It's not that Brady does it because he's some superhuman. No, it's that the particular set of plays I'm talking about, these dive plays, these dive fakes, the running back is about 4 yards from the line, and Brady doesn't spend a lot of time with the actual fake. It's the spin. So it looks like he's going to hand off, and then he comes out of it and he's ready to throw. Or if it's a deeper pattern, he'll come out of it, drop back 1, 2, 3, and stop. By the time he drops back, there is a nice 5-yard cushion between the center, his center, offensive center, and where he's standing. And he's ready to throw. He does this so much that people take it for granted. He's done it for so many years that people take it for granted. It's beautiful. For the Buccaneers to replicate that kind of offense would take another year to perfect. They're not going to do it this year. You cannot tell me that Tom Brady is going to come in, say, "Oh, you know what? I brought my playbook here. Here's my playbook. Okay, here's my playbook." They're going to use the playbook and automatically they're going to come out winners. No, they're not. That is a fundamentally different way of playing football that takes care of several fundamentals that the Buccaneers did not demonstrate last year. For instance, the offensive line always has its pads under the defense. They don't allow the reverse to happen. Okay? So they always are set, and then they're experts at slide blocking. The Buccaneers do not know how to execute a slide block to save their lives. And what I mean by a slide block, I'm talking about where the offense has, by technique, when you rush, they push you to one side, the right. And so everyone on the in my case the left, on the left of the center here is rushing, is pushed this way, okay? And then if I have defensive tackle here and center and guard, they're pushing this way. So if you ever wonder why there are times when you'll see the quarterback drop back with Brady, and watch Brady's films, and you'll see the defensive line actually be moved to one side and he moves to the other. That's not by accident, folks. That's by Patriots design. The Pats, I argue, are the best at slide blocking in the National Football League. They are the experts at it. These guys are so virtuoso. It's like going to listen to the San Francisco Symphony or the London Philharmonic. They're that good. The Buccaneers can only dream of being that good. And yet you have all these people talking as if Brady's going to walk in, sprinkle his dust, and all of a sudden, oh, they're going to be just like the New England Patriots. Seriously? Is Josh McDaniels coming down to Tampa? No. Okay, yeah. They have Tom Moore. They have Clyde Christensen, right, down there. But they didn't do with the Buccaneers what even I thought they were going to do. What they executed last year was disappointing. They are married to the idea of the deep pass, and then when they tried to get Winston to throw short, the timing was off. Jameis needs to do one thing to improve himself, and it is to shorten his throw. He winds up a little bit back. It's like he goes back, and it comes. He's back here about a quarter inch to a half inch too much. He needs to practice bring it up to the ear and go that way, because that wind up is getting him into trouble in terms of the ball coming out late on short passes. It's the coaching staff's responsibility to see that and work on that with him. And the way you do that is you tie a string between his arm, elbow lock, and his belt, and it stops him. Okay, and he gets used to it. It's hard, but you get used to it. Okay, and you do that by repetition. But see, in today's NFL, people don't want coaches. There are a lot of coaches sort of get away with just sort of mailing it in. And they don't want to take that time to do it. The Raiders have a lot of that problem. Although, to John's credit, he has improved Derek Carr tremendously. For them to bring in Mariota the way that they did, as I said the other night, that's not what you do to build a champion. Now let me get your comments here. Let's see here. Ryan says Rivers to the Colts. Yes, I think Phillip Rivers to the Colts is a great rejuvenating place for Phil Rivers. I don't quite know what they're going to do with Jacoby Brissett, but the combination of them, I think, will be lethal, because Brissett has proven that he's a great starter and a great backup. He's a great utility quarterback. Phil Rivers is the experienced, multi-year experienced quarterback, not named Tom Brady, who hasn't had a huge string of wins, and I believe has put himself into a situation where he could very well come away with at least one playoff win this year. I believe that. I think he's in a fantastic situation with the Colts. It's going to be exciting to see what the Colts do. Now, which team do I believe would trade for Cam Newton? I think possibly the Washington Redskins, because they have a young quarterback there, the Dwight Haskins, who I think would be a great understudy to Cam Newton. They play a similar style. That would be the logical landing point for me. Okay, the Redskins, because the Redskins have made it clear that they're open to looking at rookie quarterbacks. They talked to Tua. right? They talked to Joe Burrow, right? So what's to stop them from taking a good, long, considerative look at Cam Newton? I would not be surprised at all to see Haskins wind up as the number two to Cam Newton there. I would not be surprised at all. Now, you would say, why did I mention Winston in that context? It's because Joe Siegel has a big player in Khalil Mack with the Bears, so it just seemed like a logical possible place where Winston could go, given where Siegel's clients are and his relationships are in the league. It's a guess. It's a hypothesis, an educated guess based on study. Okay. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but hey, I think it's a good idea that it does happen. I am, however, very sure about this butt fumble. So John Akala, how you doing? John says, I saw something on ESPN that the Korean Basketball League is getting ready to restart season in about 2 weeks amid the coronavirus recovery. So maybe there's hope. Willie Wayne says Cam to the Chargers. That would be interesting. Jay Wills says 5-1 says Jameis never had a running game his whole time in Tampa, even before Arians. I don't like the move at all. I would have kept Jameis, improved the O-line, and got a running back. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that because they drafted Ron Jones out of USC, never really gave him a go. They had Peyton, the other running back, and Peyton started performing better. But under Arians' ill-designed running game, which lacked reverses, counter runs, effective runs that keep the defense off balance, quarterback bootlegs that are effectively used off of run fakes, and which gets to another point I'll make in a second. But considering all that was lacking in that running game, okay, both the runners and Winston suffered. And in the inaugural game under Arians' career with the Buccaneers, when they played the Niners, they just went pure and simple drop back pass, drop back pass, drop back pass. Let's put everything on Jameis and have him throw, but not with great thought with respect to the patterns and predictability. In other words, no shake routes like this, okay? Or logical routes, like for example, if you're going to have an M route in your repertoire, an M route is what Bill Walsh called, where this is the quarterback here, and I should draw it. If I draw it, then it'll make more sense here. Let me get this paper. Okay, this is an M route. Let me grab this for you, and then bring you here. Okay, this right here is the center, guard, tackle, quarterback, all right, fullback, okay, this is a halfback, tight end, flanker, pin's running out, split in, okay. That split's a bit too tight for me, but whatever. Okay. An M route looks like this. The halfback fakes a block, but then he comes out like he bellies and then he runs up like that. Okay. The idea is that when the tackle blocks, and this is the defensive end comes in, there is a kind of a hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So 5. So when he comes out, there's a kind of a hole that quarterback can fire into. That goes because the defensive end will be here in this area, right? And the defensive tackle is rushing, and so it's kind of a hole that you throw into. So the running back doesn't quite clear the line of scrimmage, but there is this lane to throw in. And then generally, when it's done, the linebacker is back into a zone. And if this is the cornerback, let's say if it's 4 short, let's go 4-3, okay? Here, right? Might as well just complete the damn thing. Okay. So we've got 4 short. We have a 4-3 defense. Linebacker, 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 4 down line people, 4 defensive backs, okay? So if this cornerback goes up here, this weak side linebacker goes to the weak side flat. Weak side is the side opposite the tight end. This is the tight end over here, right? Okay. So then we've got the strong safety here. We'll go over here, and the weak safety. I'm sorry, but the weak safety will go here, or we also call him the free safety. Okay. The strong safety here, corner, and this cornerback was simply responsible for this flat, hook zone, and then middle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 short, 3 deep zone, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay. And look at the lane that's left for the M route, right? Bruce Arians didn't design this properly. He didn't have an M route. He had a standard block, but then the halfback would wait here. The problem with waiting here is this. Remember I was telling you about how the defensive end would come down and be blocked? You're forming the pass, pocket is coming down. All right. He gets here. The running back is here. What's happened? The halfback is blocked by what? His own tackle and the defensive end. So you can't throw that. So it's not a true M route. All right. So, I mean, that's one of many problems with Arians' offense that I could explain to you in the form of a clinic, and I may just do that online one day. It's disgusting. And people allow him to get away with this, particularly people on ESPN and the NFL Network was like, well, he's a genius. Well, if you're going to call someone a genius, define why that person is a genius. Bruce Arians is a great teacher of pass patterns and the deep passing game. But he is not a person who you can say was the first to employ 5 wides throwing deep. I can go back to Doug Scoville at Brigham Young way back in the 70s and say he did it. Or I can look at Mouse Davis, who created the run and shoot. He did it, okay? But to put that on Arians, no way. No way. No way. Bruce has an approach and a style that he is known for. He's known for the 5 wides and the throwing deep at a time when you use 5 wides, but it's more proposed to throw short and mid-range combination routes. Bruce Arians is not known for effective combination routes. He is known for pushing a defense. But when I think of combination routes, I'm more likely to think of Dirk Koetter, the previous coach, who also liked to throw deep, which is the other problem, than I am Bruce Arians. I'm just being honest with you. So they have some serious technical issues to straighten out before they can even dream, the Buccaneers do, of marching to the playoffs with Tom Brady. Their defense will be fine, I think, but let's face it. There were games right up until the 9th game of the season where defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, an outstanding coach, had this annoying tendency to instruct his linemen to stand up and rush. I am telling you this. I don't care What your reason is. You sit your linemen down if you're going to rush the passer and make sure that their pads are under those of the offensive line to get push. Otherwise, the offensive line, if they're coached like the Patriots do, will work like heck to make sure their pads are under the defenders, get them and be able to control them, effectively block them, and make Tom Brady the greatest of all time. I don't know how much time I spent analyzing Arians' offense to figure out what he did right with Winston and what he did wrong. What he did right with Winston is put him in an offense that allowed him to have a greater tendency to find a receiver that might be open. Note, I did not say find a receiver that was open. And there's a reason I said that. Because, and let me go back to my explanation here. Come with me. Okay. Because of this. And this is what I'm going to draw that I wanted to see Bruce run, that he did not run entirely. At all. Okay. Tight end, flanker, halfback, fullback. Okay. Split end. All right. We'll go 4-3 for simplicity's sake. Squares are linebackers. The circles are defensive backs. Okay, so what have we done here? We have the tight end flexed, the flanker in a wing next to the tight end, the halfback behind the strong side offensive tackle, and the fullback here. Now, watch what we do. We put the fullback in motion. Here. Okay? At the snap of the ball, tight end goes here. The fullback goes up in here. The fullback continues out this way. The tight end comes up and goes back this way. The flanker goes out here and stops. Meanwhile, the halfback here goes straight up. Quarterback goes, take the snap. You have to account for the snap. 1, 2, stop. Okay. I expect middle linebacker to cover the halfback. Coming in motion here, I expect the safety to go with the fullback. This has got to be man for man from a defensive perspective. I expect the linebacker to go with the tight end. I expect this cornerback to go up out here, but then stop. This is almost a 2-off play. I'll explain what I mean in a second. So, look what happens. He's out here. We create a situation where we have space, right? If the middle linebacker happens to blitz, we would have to make sure the safety was over here. If he does, quarterback takes 2 steps, there's a window to throw. If he doesn't, he goes up here. I've got the tight end to come up. Number 1, number 2. Over here is what's called alert. He goes deep. Alert. This only happens if pre-snap I come up, I've got Mike Evans here, right? And I think, hey, he's getting single covered on quarterback that really shouldn't be single covered over him, or a defensive back. Alert, I'm going to go 1, 2, pop. Why? Because the only way I would do this is because this safety is lined up here. You see what I'm getting at? So I've got You got to go a long way to make that play. There's some people who can do that on a good day. But thrown on time, you hit that. That's practice. But if you don't have that, if you have this alignment, you just go with the play as designed. I never saw this from Arians. Okay. Shaking. Boom. Right? Throwing to the back first, right? Boom, right? Okay. There was one play they had with O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard was open. He dropped the pass, which is the other problem that Winston had to deal with last year. But it wasn't that play. It wasn't a play where you had a shake route. To John Gruden's credit, he has those in his system. The New England Patriots are known for these. But Brady, unless he insists on it, is not going to see those in the Bucs offense this year. Maybe next year. Butt-Fumble time. So, Osman Dice says Raiders should draft A.J. Espinoza from Iowa. And Nico Bellic says Brady could have the best season of any Bucs QB ever. Why? And arguably Jameis Winston had the best season of any Bucs QB. He threw for 5,000 yards. Wright Abbott says Philip Rivers to Colts, Teddy Bridgewater to Panthers, then Case Keenum to Colts, Brady to Buccaneers. Yes. And Teddy Bridgewater will compete for NFL MVP as Carolina Panthers quarterback. Everyone's talking about, it's going to be Brady versus Breeze. But what about Bridgewater versus Breeze? Okay. Why is everyone discount Teddy Bridgewater, and yet when he goes in, he plays lights out football? I could say why, but you wouldn't like the answer. Ugh. And Eric Young says, how do we ever even know that Tom Brady will do all at Tampa? That's my point. They're talking about Tom Brady like he's Jesus Christ. Well, he's going to walk in and he's it, and it's going to be so great. And no, it's not. Hey, look, the other reason I forgot to mention, and I just remembered, is that Jameis Winston can do one thing really, really well that Tom Brady doesn't do well, and that's run. Okay? Run fast. I know some of you were going to joke and say throw interceptions. Run fast. Which is something else, too. Until they get the sink issues under control, Brady will throw more interceptions. And then he'll look at the receiver and say, no, you're supposed to go that way. And he'll be frustrated and everything else. And how many times you heard today, Brady's a stickler for detail. He'll get after everybody. Well, wait a minute. If he's getting after everybody like that, how do you know that's going to play well? Suppose it doesn't. Suppose he starts chewing out his offensive line people, and he doesn't have the relationship with them that Jameis Winston had, where he could, have an argument and then everything is cool. And then one of the guys or two of them decides they're going to throw a lookout block just to teach him a lesson. What's a lookout block? A lookout block is where they don't block the lineman, and then it's, hey, look out! Punch. Butt fumble. Okay? Oh. Man. Is Tampa Bay a playoff team? No. Absolutely not. If you think Tom Brady automatically makes the Bucs a playoff team, you don't know football. Period. End of story. You don't know football because you've just glossed over every technical problem the Buccaneers demonstrated last year. Quarterbacks don't draw up the plays. They don't write the nomenclature. Going to sprinkle all over the Buccaneers offensive personnel. No. Okay? Not at all. William Triggy says, I'm an LA Ram for 63 years. Fan, what do you think of the logo? Raiders P says, only receivers I know on the Bucs is Mike Evans. Do they have a running game or a good offensive line? The offensive line can be good, but it technically they need a lot of work. Okay, they really do. And I'm not saying that they need work as in they can't get it done. They need to adopt what I call the old Pittsburgh Steelers 70s style of line blocking that was practiced, where they punched out, and then Patriots do this. They punch out arms first. They don't retreat deep. They retreat a step or two, and they punch out arms first. Everything is punching. Punch, punch, punch here. Punch, 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 punch. Here, 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 here. Up, pads here, up, punch, 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 control, punch, 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 punch. And as a defender, you're punching and punching and punching. And what's going on? While that's happening, the quarterback is retreating. And what's going on? The pass pocket's formed. Look at the video of the Patriots and pay attention to the line. Pay attention to the line again and again and again. Look at the video of the 70s when Dan Rakatovich was the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line coach, later a famous athletic director, who instituted that famous form of blocking or style of blocking. Okay? What happens is not by accident. It's by intent. Nick Bill says Andy Dalton. What about you mean in terms of where I think Andy Dalton might go? Let me give that some thought. Willie Wayne says, I think Andy Dalton could be a Chicago Bear, but I don't see him fitting into the Belichick offense in New England. It doesn't mean it won't happen, but I don't see it. And the reason I don't see it is because I don't believe that it's not that he's not right for the system. He could fit in, but the Patriots need at this point in time for them is for someone who is a bit more mobile than Andy can be at this stage of his career. And I don't know, I'd love to have Andy as a backup, but I don't know that I would want him in that situation, okay? Given the Pats personnel, given their playbook, given what they do well out of it, I don't believe that he is the right person. Not to say that he is completely wrong, but if you're thinking about someone who's more mobile, think about all the quarterbacks we talked about. They're more mobile than Dalton. So then why would you go to Andy in that instance? I'm just issuing a think piece, right? So I think the Raiders signings are outstanding. I'm going to focus on them more, and I'll do that tomorrow. Jason Witten, I made a video earlier where I said that Jason Witten and Darren Waller will be the most lethal tight end combination in the league, period. A combination of the wily, crafty 16-year vet who can still run and catch, who's big and physical and can block. When he puts his mind to it, one of the best blockers in the league, if not the best, okay? Austin Hooper's up there, all right? But look, the 49ers didn't get a chance to bring Austin Hooper together with a WWE star. They wind up becoming the Oakland Raiders yet again for a year. Could happen, but it could happen. But Willie Wayne says Rams better go back to old school helmets, soft leather. And Nico Bellic says Arians' offense is legit. What does that mean? That's saying nothing. Legit. What does legit? Let me look up the meaning legit. All right, legit. What does that mean? Legit. Meaning is conforming to the rules. And legal. Extremely good and truly genuinely. Is this car legit? Their meats and sandwiches are legit, which applies to food, and it's truly genuinely. So if you're telling me that Arians' offense conforms to the rules and is legal, okay. I can't disagree with that. That tells me nothing. Try another adjective. Oh, Jesus. Willie Wayne says, Raider Nation report to stadium finished building. What does that mean? Are you asking me? Let's get a handle on what the governor's going to do. As I stated, Willie Wayne, if you didn't hear my comment on that at first, roll back when this is over. I'll be done in a little bit. Eric Ramos, how do you feel about Raiders' moves? Outstanding. A combination of wildly crafty veterans who are technicians at their position, of specifically referring to Jason Witten, and a combination of the unknown technicians that play very well, but don't always get. They're the Gruden grinder types. Okay, quite an outstanding fit, and I'm not ready yet to say, okay, well, no, you know what? Heck with it. I'm gonna give him an A. I'm gonna give him an A straight out. Witten gives them an A. Right there. Because not only will the pairing of Waller and Witten, that's a t-shirt, right? Not only will that pairing produce the greatest, most effective, most lethal tight end pairing in the NFL this year, it will be the greatest and most lethal tight end pairing since Gronk and the late Aaron Hernandez. You heard it here first, okay? I'm telling you. Because, offensively, a number of organizations have been, and let me go back to, I love this formation. I love this formation. I love this formation, okay? Let me go back to this formation here, okay? And let's do this. Let's say that we have Witten here, right? We have Waller, okay? This is a perfect Raiders play. Fullback, we make him X2, all right, instead of F. He takes the fullback's place. This is Jacobs. In motion. Or this could be Washington or what, but in motion. He basically comes out, and then Witten comes under Waller. Waller's the deep threat for speed. When Witten comes up, and it's that big body that's getting around, is turning this way, linebacker turns around. What's happened? This big body is shielding the linebacker from the ball. You got this all day long. You hear that all day long. But if the coverage is great, then hey, Waller deep. I would also design a shift into this because this is the kind of play that you position your safety back here, he winds up waiting. Because note, I don't have an option route here. I have too many people in the route. I don't need to have an option route. All right? But what I want to disguise this. And so I would shift into it. I could shift into it very easily out of there. Okay. Halfback, tight flankers here. Flanker shifts in here. Tight end shifts in here. Halfback shifts out there. What halfback becomes, Waller is in the halfback position, but he goes here. You need to have your tight end doing this, right? Then he comes here and then in motion. Okay. Okay. That's one way of disguising it. You want to keep him honest? Yeah, just run a dive play. All right. But I would shift into this. Or if you're going no huddle, it's very effective because the defense can screw up in terms of recognition of what's coming. And then, of course, it cries for a companion play. And that would point to another session. As you can tell, I love asymmetric offenses. In other words, where you got three or four receivers to one side. And then I like to shift. This was not an example of that. My strengths. And let me explain what I mean by that, just for grins, because I'm getting into the creative stuff that I love, all right? What I mean by that is this. Let me take that formation. Where was that here? And I'll draw it up so I'm not making you dizzy, okay? And then here, okay? There. Let me draw this up real quick. I'm basically just drawing the same formation that I have, and I don't have a name for the formation. I might go all Gruden and call it let's see, west far right flex. Why do I call it west far right? Because the flanker is flexed. He's on the outside, not inside. The west, it's warmer on the outside, but if it was east, it's cold in the east, so it's inside, right? Oh, so okay, so anyway, cold in the east, so it's inside, right? Oh, so okay, so anyway, but I'm not going to do that. Or I could go concept. I could call it Zenny, but I'm not going to do that either. I'm just going to drop the damn thing. Let me see here, X2, Y. It's a bit. Let me come back here, folks. One moment. Oh, right here. Let's see here. Yeah, you called. I'm not done. Okay, almost. Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, live television. So at any rate, as I was saying, you've got tight end here, and I'll bring you down right here. And I'll show you how to go from format here, right? And then here, and then here, and then here, right? So what we're going to do is, this is going to be our base to shifting. Right now, we have, this is same formation. Our strength is to the right. Why? Because we have 1, 2, 3 receivers here. We have only 2 here. This is what I'm going to do. There. There. And then watch this. Boom. And boom. Okay. And so what have I done? I've changed the strength from right to left. Why? Because when this is the split end, we had this as either halfback to become wing outside the split end. Meanwhile, Jacobs goes from what was the strong side tackle to the weak side tackle over here. And what are we left with? We're left with 2 receivers over here. Okay. So we changed the strength from right to left. That's what I love to do. Because, and particularly if you do that with a tight end. Now imagine if I had done this. This is the other action that I like. Imagine if I had done this. If I had said, okay, I will swing the tight end over here on the line, which means what? He has to come off the line here, okay? And I put the flanker on the line here. So it effectively makes two tight ends. I got two receivers tandem here and the back. So because I have two receivers in tandem here and this tight end, and I've got Jacobs, I've got a great reason to do. Boom. Quick pitch. Okay. The best offense has combo shifts in it. That is, each offense has a formation that has a shift layer. Watch the Dallas Cowboys under Tom Landry from 1975 to 1982, 1983 in that window. Actually, you know what? You can go all the way back to 1968. You'll commonly see I formation, and they'll shift to brown formation or blue formation. And they do it all the time. Then get the 1968 Dallas Cowboys playbook. It's available online. And you'll see these dotted lines for the formations. And what it is these are standard shifts that they do. It's baked into the plays. It's pretty neat. You don't see that today, but you should. All right, folks, I got to shove off, and I will see you tomorrow. Subscribe. I didn't get all your comments, but I'll get the rest of them tomorrow, and there are quite a bit, okay? I apologize. We needed more time. I will start earlier next time, and I'll get in more of more in here, okay? And let's see here. Who you got? Oh, right. Okay. All right. So, and like I said, Black Lion Supreme, how are you doing, man? Black Lion says we could have gotten a young blocking tight end at far less than $4 million. True, but I think Witten's going to do a great job. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great day or night, and remember, maintain your health.